All about creating some kind of proactive steps to address the year. Being proactive in January, so this way July is easier. My name is George Sardakis from Vincent Hirsch Financial Services. Today we're going to talk about some items to address and review at the start of the year when it comes to our own personal financial picture. The new year isn't necessarily all about starting over, it's more about checking to make sure that everything that we have going on is still in alignment. And it's important to note and understand that life changes, whether it's income, expenses, a shift in priorities. These things change all the time, from year to year, month to month, day to day. Now, this is important because a financial reset helps us to ensure that the money still supports where we're going. It's not necessarily about perfection. It's more just understanding, having a clarity, and being intentional about the moves that we make throughout the new year. So the first thing that we address is our cash flow and spending patterns. Our cash flow is essentially the engine that gets the financial car running. So we have to make sure that our cash flow is being as efficient as possible, just like how we want to make sure that the engine that runs our car is as efficient as possible. And we want to make sure that we address any small leaks within our cash flow, just like when we address our cars, we want to make sure that any small leakage is addressed and patched up. So this way we can keep the car running as optimally as possible. This can come in the form of income changes, making sure that we address any income changes for the good or for the bad. Any bonuses, raises, job changes, job loss, any kind of side income that we are looking to address and earn this year, those are all accounted for. Any kind of expense creeps, whether it's due to inflation, grocery store prices, or rent spikes, or maybe our insurance premiums have gone up, or we've shouldered a couple different subscription packages. These kinds of things can easily creep up on us and cost us an extra $50, $100, $150 a month without us even realizing that we're spending that. We want to make sure that we're addressing savings. Are we consistently saving? Are we intentionally saving? Or are we just saving whatever little bit we have at the end of the month? From a behavioral perspective, it's very easy to let savings go unaddressed, which is why when we work with clients and when we work on ourselves, we want to make sure that saving is done at the very early stages of addressing cash flow, so this way we maintain that intentional saving behavior. Speaking of savings, the second thing that we look to review every year are our saving and emergency reserves. Emergencies typically aren't things that we plan for, so we want to make sure that we are being diligent and intentional about how much we have in emergency savings. A typical reserve that we look to have with our clients is about 3 to 6 months of income. We want to make sure that we understand and have a good foundation for how much we have in our emergency savings. Are we able to meet our expenses in the event of something unforeseen happening? Has the emergency fund kept pace with our lifestyle? So if our lifestyle has changed and we are spending a little more, do we have that little extra cushion in the emergency savings to reflect that? We want to make sure that any short or midterm goals that we have planned could also be funded, whether that's traveling or home renovations or education expenses. We want to make sure that these things are also covered and accounted for when we're doing these savings audits. The idea here is that we want to make sure that we have enough and adequate savings set aside in the event of an unforeseen event happening. The third item we look to review are our employer benefits and retirement contributions. Now, at the beginning of the year in January is when the contribution limits for our retirement accounts reset, and whether that's for our IRA individual retirement accounts or our employer retirement packages, 401k, 403b, etc. And we want to make sure that we're taking advantage of all of the employer benefits that we can, because those are almost a form of compensation in and of themselves that we want to make sure do not go underutilized and unaddressed. This could be our employer match for our retirement accounts. We want to make sure that we are capturing and taking advantage of what's available. We want to make sure that we are contributing intentionally, or at least by default, into our retirement packages. Those would be the 401ks, 403bs, etc. We also want to make sure that we're taking advantage of any health benefits that are awarded to us, whether it's an FSA, an HSA. We want to make sure that we're electing any kind of additional insurance packages, be it disability insurance, etc. And we also want to make sure that we understand any kind of stock compensation that our employers give us. We want to understand what the valuation metrics are, what our vesting schedule is, what our tax implications may be as a result of incurring and accepting these stock compensations. We want to make sure that we are addressing these on a regular basis and we're adjusting the contributions as we go, or addressing and making sure that our elections for the different benefits are up to date. For our health insurance or our disability insurance, we want to make sure that we keep those up to date, especially if we have the opportunity to enroll in a better or increased benefits plan. When we discuss our overall financial picture, we want to make sure that we're mitigating risk and protecting against it as best as we possibly can. Risks are inherent in our financial pictures, whether it's losing a job or incurring an emergency expense or potentially something worse. We want to make sure that our families, our income, our assets continue to grow and are shielded from any potential risks. Now, we often address this through various insurance policies, whether it's life insurance, whether it's disability insurance, health insurance, liability insurance for our home and for our auto, maybe even an umbrella policy, and making sure that our beneficiary schedules are up to date. Obviously, life insurance protects against any worst case scenario event occurring. Our disability insurance helps us maintain our lifestyle in the event that we incur a disability and we're not able to work anymore. So if I'm a doctor, and more specifically a surgeon, and I'm not able to perform surgeries due to some kind of disability or neurological impairment, I can receive income from my disability insurance and not have to necessarily worry about not being able to work anymore and losing that income. When it comes to our home and auto coverage, we want to make sure that those are sufficient in terms of our liability protection. If we get sued because of an accident or a slip and fall, then we're not dipping into our investments, and our insurance coverage is adequate and can take over and fill that liability gap. And again, our beneficiaries want to make sure that our assets and our insurance proceeds are going to the people that we want it to go to. It's oftentimes when, for example, in a divorce, if we have people who've been divorced many years, we still see the ex-spouse listed as the primary beneficiary on the policy, rather than maybe if we get remarried and we have a new spouse, maybe the new spouse being designated as the primary beneficiary, or the children, or whoever. Finally, we want to make sure that we review our goals, priorities, and direction for the year. Our goals are intentional. They drive the decisions that we make for the year financially. We want to make sure that the money that we spend and save are being spent and saved intentionally, not reactively. And we want to make sure that as our goals evolve, that we're addressing those accordingly. Maybe we planned last year on taking 2 trips this year, and because we got a raise and a new promotion and new income, maybe that now looks like 3 trips. Or maybe the money that we had set aside for these trips, we plan on spending more now because we are able to do so and we have the means to do so. Or maybe we just decide that we're going to only take 1 big trip, not necessarily 2 smaller trips. We want to address what's changed since last year. Has our income changed? Has our expenses changed? Has our familial picture changed? Maybe our family's grown and now we Now we have to bring our new child with us on vacation, or maybe we have to find a sitter for a couple of days while we take that trip, or maybe we just omit the trip entirely. We want to make sure that we're addressing short and long-term priorities, whether that's, for example, short-term would be taking those trips this year, longer-term making sure that we're still able to buy the house that we have been planning for the past couple of years. Are we working towards something? Do we want to intentionally save so we can retire early? Or are we trying to build a business and that's something that we're looking to save for? And we want to make sure that the plan that we had set forth in the past still reflects today's version of you. It definitely reflects the last time that we've met that version of you, but does it reflect today's version of you? Do we have enough income? Or do we have the same income? Do we have the same expenses? Do we have the same goals? Making sure that our priorities still reflect what they did before 6-8 months ago. So to kind of wrap all of this in a big bow, we want to make sure that we look at the new year and we perform this audit and kind of set the tone for the rest of the year. We want to make sure that it's not complex. These things don't necessarily require a lot of complexity, they just require attention. We want to make sure that we're being aware, conscientious about the decisions that we're making, whether it's intentionally putting an additional percentage or two into our employer benefits, whether it's electing a different insurance package from our employer, whether it's increasing our savings by about $50 a month to make sure that we're able to achieve that goal, making sure that we are still able to travel and being conscientious about how much we're spending on the travel. All of these things are all part of our plan, but we have to make sure that we're aware of the implications that come as a result. This beginning of year audit is all about creating some kind of proactive steps to address the year. We're not being reactive. We're not reacting to decisions that we're making in July. We're being proactive in January, so this way July is easier. So how do we do all of this? So if you work with a professional, maybe schedule some time with them to review your plan, review your accounts. If you do this all by yourself, making sure that we take an objective look at our spending, our employer benefits, our insurance policies, and making sure that, objectively speaking, we are set up in a way that maintains the consistency of our lives. Making sure that we're not deficient in any benefits, any protection, any savings, etc. I hope this helps, and if anyone has any questions or any ideas for additional topics, please put them in the comments below. Thank you so much.